Hi, I'm Mike Reynolds, a senior reporter covering the media industry with the S&P Global Market Intelligence Tech, Media, and Telecom News Team. Welcome to MediaTalk, a podcast hosted by S&P Global, where the news and research staff explore issues in the ever-evolving media landscape. Today, I'm joined by a trio of S&P Global Market Intelligence Kagan analysts. Principal analyst Justin Nielsen, who specializes in broadcast, among other areas. Principal analyst Scott Robson, who tracks U.S. TV networks and sports. And research analyst Michael Johnson, who is on the U.S. Sports Watch. We're going to talk about the 2025 NFL season, which kicks off tonight with the defending champion Philadelphia Eagles hosting the Dallas Cowboys at Lincoln Financial Field. It's the first time these NFC East rivals have opened the season since 2000. The game is on NBC and will also be streamed on Peacock. As was the case last year at this time, a lot of our conversation on this episode of Media Talk will be about the bifurcated landscape that is the NFL, which has long thrived on broadcast and now is looking to, as it looks to reach its largest possible audience. But this year, for the first time, every game will also be streamed. Let's get a few formalities out of the way first. Justin, you're an Arizona Cardinal fan. What's Kyler Murray and co. going to look like this year?
It's a great question. They could make the playoffs or they could come in last. I'm hoping for the former.
Okay. Scott, you're a Jets man. Aaron Rodgers is gone. Aaron Glenn, the former Jets DB and Lions defensive coordinator for the last few years, he's the head coach. Justin Fields is the new QB. Same old Jets in the new season or looking for something better?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to have to go with same old Jets. I'm going into the season with no expectations. It's been 15 years since the Jets made the playoffs. So if they could sneak a wild card spot, it would be just a massive success.
Okay. I'm a Giants guy. They have the toughest schedule in the NFL, at least for the first 8 weeks of the season. Rookie quarterback Jackson Dart from Ole Miss has thrown a bunch of darts this preseason. He's trending to be the number 2 behind Russell Wilson. Coach Dabble is in a tough spot to do the right thing for the team. Wilson's perhaps a better choice to win the season. Dabble can keep his gig, or he develop the youngster and maybe absorb the growing pains. So we'll see what happens there. Mike, you're a Vikings guy. Sam Darnold had a great season last year until the playoffs. He's off to Seattle. J.J. McCarthy led Michigan to the NCAA championship in 24, but he missed last season. What can we expect from him?
Yeah. Thanks for having me on the podcast. I think the Vikings are built to win this year, but you're right. It's going to come down to McCarthy. Reports have been mixed throughout camp, but I think the team will rally around him and hopefully get back to the playoffs. And if you're going to draft Justin Jefferson in fantasy, I think it's a good bet. They're pretty thin at wide receiver.
All right, fair enough. As noted, Philly and Dallas open the season. Defending champions, the love 'em, hate 'em Cowboys. Last year's NFL kickoff game, the then defending Kansas City Chiefs squeezed by the Ravens, attracted over 29 million viewers. It was their biggest audience for the regular season for NBC and Peacock. Justin, are we running by that on this opening night?
I think so. It is 2 marquee teams, and you've got huge fan bases. So I would definitely bet the over on them running past that.
The second game of the year, the Chiefs and Los Angeles Chargers, they're going to play in Sao Paulo, Brazil, the second year in a row that the league has had its second season of the game down there. Last year, Eagles-Packers was a good game, 14 million viewers on NBC and Peacock. This time around, it's on YouTube Live, but it's also free on YouTube. Mike, do we think this is going to be the biggest stream game ever?
Yeah. It does seem like everything is adding up for the Chiefs-Chargers game to be the most streamed game ever. Like you mentioned, last year's game in the same slot on NBC and Peacock that drew over 14 million viewers, which was pretty impressive. This time around, it's free on YouTube. Plus, we've seen how well these NFL games are performing on these streaming platforms. Netflix, with their first NFL Christmas Day doubleheader, was a hit globally, over 30 million viewers for each of those games. Yeah, I think it could be for sure.
Scott, Chiefs and Chargers becomes streaming number 1 game with a bullet, as they used to say in the music business. Your thoughts?
Possibly, but there's tough competition. Netflix Christmas Day games last year averaged over 30 million viewers. That surpassed Peacock's wildcard game in January 2024. It's around 23 million viewers. I'm going to guess that this week 2 matchup on YouTube will draw something similar, so in the 20 million range. YouTube is a massive platform, so either way, it will be interesting to take a look at the viewership of the game. And I think the NFL will be closely monitoring the performance as they work to grow the game.
Sure. Mike, let's talk about Prime Video. It's going into its 4th season as the primary Thursday Night Football rights holder. Is it going to continue its ascent? And it has really strong demos.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why Prime Video wouldn't continue its upward climb in viewership for Thursday Night Football. In its third season last year, they averaged over 13 million viewers. It was an 11% increase from the previous year, and I think it's a 38% rise from their inaugural season in 2022. That's pretty big growth. They haven't quite matched I think it's 16.4 million average viewers from the 2021-22 season when the Thursday night games were airing on the traditional networks.
Right.
The trend is pointing in that direction to reach those numbers.
All right. We got some big streaming news with the launch of ESPN DTC on August 21st. Outside of a couple of games that were on ESPN Plus, which had some 25 million subs or thereabout, the ESPN, ABC, Monday Night Football, and other Saturday games have not been streamed. They're going to be now. Justin, what does that do for the game?
I think it increases the viewership, obviously, but you also look at the decision for them to simulcast on ABC, and you saw a huge uptick just because of the broadcast addition to the Monday Night Football lineup. I think the same is going to happen with the DTC product.
Scott, we've been talking about this for a long time. The NFL has finally got a deal for some of its NFL media assets with ESPN. Can you give us a little sense for your thoughts about that transaction, which I guess has to pass regulatory muster?
Yeah, so the NFL and ESPN have been in talks for close to a decade now on this, and it was finally made official. Under the deal, the NFL will get 10% stake in ESPN, which is valued at $2.5 billion, which so happens to be around the amount that the ESPN pays the NFL annually under the media rights deal.
Yep.
Yeah, I think this makes the ESPN direct-to-consumer service a bit more appealing. It's also going to be interesting to see if the NFL influences ESPN programming at all through this. I don't know if they have to lobby for more airtime on SportsCenter or anything like that. ESPN did recently pull a documentary series on Colin Kaepernick, so who knows?
I gotcha. Mike, next season, again, the deal, again, for the most part, will not happen. It won't happen at all for the 25 season. Next year, there'll be some shifting of games around between NFL Network and ESPN. Can you take us through that a little bit?
So I think with the deal, it allows ESPN to increase its game coverage to 28 games per season. Last year, I think they totaled 23 regular season games on the network, on ABC and ESPN, I believe. Plus, with the deal, too, ESPN is gaining linear distribution rights for the NFL Red Zone, and it opens up the possibility for them to create additional sports channels down the line.
So we could have different versions of the Red Zone for different sports?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. As we look at this season with the DTC product launched on the 21st, they wound up with 5 preseason games that were made available to ESPN DT subscribers on the 23rd. They're going to have a lot more of that next year, as well as some of the other things that will be part of the deal. They also have a WWE contract that's starting on the September 20th. So we'll be keeping our eyes on that as well. Fox, after sitting on the sidelines forever, is finally getting into the aggregate streaming game. Fox One also bowed on August 21st. Justin, take us through what they're thinking there.
Yeah, it's definitely a new Fox. I would say after the failure of Venue, there was appetite there to include Fox in a streaming service. You had the Fox Tubi Super Bowl stream. So I definitely think the launch, along with the college football season and NFL, is going to prop up subscriber growth for that service, as well as the bundle with ESPN D2C.
Fox One, as you just mentioned, the bundling with the ESPN DTC, it's October 2nd. Going to be good for pro and college football particularly. Scott, your thoughts on this? It's almost a Venue thing, which was supposed to have those two companies in WBD, Warner Brothers, last year.
Yeah, you're right. It looks a lot like Venue minus TNT Sports. I think there's enough there to appeal to sports fans, but it's definitely not a one-stop shop for all things sports. When you look at it, for $40 per month, you get access to the Fox and ESPN content. They're pushing ESPN Bet. They're hoping that the launch of this service bundled with Fox will maybe entice some gamblers to change over to ESPN Bet. I'm not sure how successful that will be. There's apparently a lot of shorter clips being pushed on these platforms. It's still early days in terms of deciding if this is going to be a big thing or not, but I think that there's definitely going to be some appetite out there from sports fans.
Mike, do you share Scott's view? Are you a linear guy, or does this whet your streaming appetite?
think it's a great deal for fans of the NFL and college football like myself. With ESPN launching its ESPN Ultimate Bundle with NFL Plus Premium starting September 3rd, they're just making it a lot easier for fans to access a ton of content.
Yeah, that's going to bring in the red zone, right?
Yeah, exactly. It includes NFL Network, NFL Red Zone. Plus, they've been airing 5 out-of-market preseason games right out of the gate, which is a nice touch. And then you have the Fox aspect of this as well, bundling Fox One with ESPN DTC. It seems like a smart move, pretty attractive deal for both NFL and college football fans.
All right. We haven't talked about CBS Sports yet and the newly merged Paramount Skydance. CEO David Ellison, son of Oracle's Larry Ellison, said the NFL already has a stake in the company through some NFL content projects. Justin, can you give us a bit of a word on that?
Yeah, David Ellison acknowledged it in an interview with CNBC. The NFL could look at the CBS Sports contract given the change of control, but I don't believe that they would sever that relationship. They've got a long relationship, CBS and the NFL, and CBS is the #1 broadcast network in terms of audience. So I think there's still, that tie-up that they want with NFL rights.
All right, we'll go down a few years here. Fox, Paramount, Skydance, not as big in terms of some of the other NFL rights holders. There's opt-out clauses for the league after the 29 season and also in 2030 with ESPN. I guess some people have talked about the possibility that Fox and CBS wouldn't be able to afford like a major uptick in rights. Scott, your thoughts about that? Obviously, the NFL is crucial, the most watched stuff in all of TV.
Yes. So things are definitely shifting. But in terms of the two companies you mentioned, if you look at Paramount, Skydance, they've recently spent a lot on rights, things like the UFC. So I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't come to the table aggressively for the NFL. Same with Fox. They've been focusing on sports and news for years now, and the NFL is a major part of that. I think the performance and viewership that come out of some of these streaming games on YouTube and Netflix might influence the NFL to opt towards giving more games to streamers, but I really don't think we're going to see Fox and CBS go down without a fight.
Mike, do you agree? Are we still going to be watching Jim Nantz and Kevin Burkhardt with Tom Brady on Fox a few years down the road?
Yeah, I think so. These relationships have been going on for a very long time, and I just don't see a huge change. But like Scott mentioned, I do see if they opt out in 2029, giving a bigger package to these streamers, especially if they continue to expand the international games as well.
More streaming to come, but linear still rules the NFL roost. Scott, a bit of a down year for NFL viewership last year, but that's really relatively speaking.
Yes. So the NFL viewership declined, I think, 2% last season, and 3 of its 5 broadcast packages had declining audiences. But we're still talking about 17.5 million viewers per game, which dwarfs everything else on TV. Monday Night Football was down slightly, but I think that's very matchup related. Every year, we're going to see fluctuations based on competition, and this is really like a 2% decline is nothing here.
And again, I think upwards of 70% of the top telecasts every year fall into the NFL camp. So, Justin, let's talk about Sunday Night Football. NBC, that series, franchise, whatever you want to call it, 14 years in a row, #1. 15 is on the way, I would take it.
I would say so. They ruled Sunday night in terms of the Sunday Night Football viewership trend. And with the addition of Peacock streaming and the streaming growth on that platform, I think it will continue. I would say the other thing to consider with broadcasters in the NFL rights is the local viewership as well. So you've got the stations that are promoting the teams, and it's the outside programming that's actually supporting the live game audience as well.
I gotcha. Sunday Night Football may be the top series, but the late Sunday afternoon window is the most watched in all of linear and television. It's been the domain of Fox for many years with the bigger market NFC teams, but CBS has won the past 2 seasons. Mike, will Ellison's new company make it 3 in a row?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting how the late window on Sunday has become the hot spot for viewership. Like you mentioned, it was all about Fox and those big market NFC teams like Dallas and the Giants. But CBS has really made a big jump by winning the last 2 years in that slot. I think last year, NFL on CBS as a whole averaged over 19 million viewers per game, with that 425 slot averaging over 24 million viewers. And I think it was the Bills and Chiefs that drew over 31 million viewers, which is
Right.
a,
Yep.
a huge number. But, it seems like CBS has the momentum going right now. The AFC also appears to be a bit top heavy in terms of the premier quarterbacks compared to the NFC this year. You have Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. They bring in serious ratings, especially if their teams are in contention.
Gotcha. Yeah, it makes sense. We're getting to the end here and the fun part of the podcast. A consensus about Tom Brady's first year as an analyst. Mediocre, improved as the season went along. Patriots just unveiled the 12-foot Brady statue outside of Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. Brady had a great line. He said, "This is for all the Patriots fans and maybe Jet fans too, many of whom could be leaving in the second quarter." Scott, Brady's taunting you.
Yeah, 100%. It's really low-hanging fruit to come after Jets fans. Our team hasn't made the playoffs in 15 years, like I mentioned earlier, so he needs to just give us a break. As for his performance as an analyst, I fall into the camp that thinks that he improved as the season went along.
All right. Mike, do you agree?
Yeah, I think so. It was quite the ride for the first season in the booth. I think he likened it to his rookie year as a quarterback, I think. But yeah, I think he'll improve in his second year from start to finish.
All right. Like I said, I'm a Giant fan. I'm a Brady loather. Enough said, save for one thing. Eli. Justin, final word here on Tom Terrific, the broadcaster who also happens to be a minority owner of the Raiders.
Yeah, I think I'm with the consensus that he got better over time. I think as long as he focuses on the nuts and bolts and the more analytical approach, I think he'll be fine.
All right. Thanksgiving Day game, the 4:30 game, is the top regular season window. The distinction as the most watched NFL regular season game in history to this point was Dallas versus the Giants on November 24th, 2022, over 42 million viewers. This year's matchup in that time, it's going to be on CBS. It's Dallas, while America's team, but perhaps the new America's team, the Chiefs. Is Cowboys-Chiefs going to become the most watched regular season game ever? We'll go rapid here. Justin.
I think so. It depends on Taylor Swift, right? Is she going to show up?
Okay. Mike, how about you?
I'm going to say yes. I'm not sure if it even depends if both teams are in contention at that point. Not sure about the Cowboys.
Scott?
It's possible. If not on Thanksgiving, then I think the Christmas games might also be contenders.
Okay. All right. I'm going contrarian. I don't think either team's going to be especially strong. Chiefs blow out the boys and people eat more dessert and wait for the nightcap on NBC when it's going to be the Bengals against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens in Baltimore. All right. We've talked about Taylor a little bit. She announced her 12th album, Life of a Showgirl, will drop on October 3rd. She made that announcement on New Heights, the podcast hosted by Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce and his brother Jason, the former Eagles center who is now an ESPNer. Is Taylor performing at halftime of the Super Bowl? Mike?
Yeah, I think this seems to be the way it's building, right? It seems to have a WWE type storyline in my brain. If not this year, definitely within the next 3, I'd say. Maybe she's waiting for Kelce to retire. Who knows?
Scott, how about you?
Yeah, I'm a fan, and I think she's got enough hits to make it feel like a special performance, and I think that's what halftime at the Super Bowl is supposed to be.
Justin, I know your daughters would be interested. How about you?
Yeah, that'd be the only reason they'd watch the Super Bowl.
There you go. Last year, our Super Bowl selections didn't go so well. Mike, you were in on the Bengals and the Packers. Are you going that way again for the Super Bowl 60 matchup this February on NBC?
Yeah, a bit off last year. This year, I'm going Ravens over Commanders.
Oh, wow. Okay. Justin, you said last year the Chiefs were going to go three-peat and that they were going to beat the 49ers. The Eagles kind of got in the way. What are you thinking about for this season?
Yeah, I've gone back and forth. I'm looking at maybe the Ravens this year. So maybe it's their year.
All right, Scott, I know you said Jets last year. You've already said that's not going to happen. What are we looking at?
Yeah, absolutely not the Jets this year. I'm going to go with the Ravens as well, especially if Lamar stays healthy.
Okay. Last year, I went Honolulu blue and silver with the Lions. As much as I would like to see that happen, I'm going green, not the Jets. The Eagles repeat over the Bills. That concludes this episode of Media Talk. I wanted to let you know that Mike has published an extensive NFL preview on our Cap IQ Pro platform. It touches on a number of these subjects and it has a lot more facts and figures. I want to thank Mike, Scott, and Justin for sharing the NFL knowledge and some handicapping. Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
And this is Mike Reynolds. Thanks to all of you for listening. Enjoy NFL opening weekend. We'll catch up soon on the next episode of Media Talk.